Many Black people have often asked the question of why are we so often negatively perceived? And why is this the case globally? Many Black people have come to the conclusion that we're perhaps cursed. That's absolutely untrue. But it's exactly what our oppressors want us believing. Because when the oppressed are misled to believe that we're cursed or that there is something inherently wrong with us, this demoralizes us, divides us, and makes us much more easier to control and to subjugate. If you're one of those among us who believes those types of premises, it's because your mind has been kept ignorant from knowing our true reality. Whenever people are kept ignorant from knowing their true reality, they'll always believe nonsense. The true reason why Black people are often negatively perceived by others and also by ourselves is because the perception of Black people is created and controlled exclusively by the white society. And they've always negatively distorted our image in ways that serve their nefarious racist agendas against us. This has remained a consistent fact throughout history, and it's still true now. Black people are being perpetually negatively depicted within the Western world's global media. Those global media depictions have far-reaching global consequences. Most people naively believe that the media reflects our reality, but in truth, the media most often shapes our perception of reality. The media tells us who are the good guys and who are the bad guys on all given issues. It tells us who we should hate and who we should like, and who we should trust and who we should distrust. The mainstream media shapes our values and influence our perceptions of the world around us. People's mindsets aligns with what the media tells us to believe. This is what's meant by the old saying that those who controls the mainstream media controls the collective brainstem of the masses. The reason why Black people are often negatively perceived globally is because the depiction of Black people that are being spread through the media, this includes our images and our narratives, are created and controlled exclusively and unilaterally by the white society. The white society therefore literally owns the global perception of Black people, and they've always negatively distorted our image in ways that serve their nefarious agendas against us. The world's thoughts, perception, and opinions of us aligns with the white society's fraudulent negative depiction of us. In fact, the white society's greatest power over we Africans has always been their ability to create false narratives about us that facilitates their mistreatments of us, and then impose those falsehoods upon the world, and then have the world function based upon those falsehoods as if they were true. And they've always done this. Case, point, and proof. When they exploited their weaponry advantages of guns, rifles, and cannons to invade Africa and to brutally enslave Africans, they created the false narrative that we Africans were uncivilized, illiterate savages, and that therefore their invasion and enslavement of us was for our own benefits. They created that false narrative, imposed it upon the world, and the global masses began functioning based upon the false narrative as if it was true. Even today, millions of people still function based upon that false narrative. Here's another example of the nefarious practice. The true reason why the Western world is so deeply invested into Africa is because it needs Africa's natural resources in order to survive. The Western world constantly exploits gold, diamonds, tin, iron, copper, rubber, cocoa, and even coltan out of Africa. Coltan is an African mineral that makes your smartphones, laptops, and other electronic devices work. The Western world cannot sustain itself for more than 2 years without the natural resources that it exploits out of Africa annually. But they created the false narrative that it's Africa that needs the Western world in order to survive. They created that false narrative and then imposed it upon the world. And millions of people now function based upon that false narrative instead of the true reality. The reason why black people are often negatively perceived is because the white society has always created false narratives about black people that facilitates their mistreatment and exploitation of black people. The public at large then function based upon those false narratives instead of the true reality. Here's another example of the practice. During slavery in the U.S., enslaved Africans fleeing captivity were labeled by the white enslavers as mentally ill, a mental illness that they entitled drapetomania. Many among the public then began perceiving that all escaped Africans were mentally ill. This directly affected how many interacted with the escaped Africans. Many refused to help them because they believed that their mental illness made them dangerous. The mental illness has since been debunked as being pseudoscience, it's total bullshit. But this is a clear example of how the white society creates false narratives about black people. And then the masses begin perceiving black people based upon the false narratives. Likewise, your perception of reality is an elaborate white deception. We view reality based upon our perceptions shaped by the information that we receive. But the information that we receive have been deliberately distorted by the white controllers of the information. Case, point, and proof. The hidden true reality is that in the U.S., the largest recipient of welfare are members of the white society. The largest benefactor of affirmative action are, in fact, white women. Therefore, by extension, the white society has benefited most from affirmative action. And as confirmed by FBI data, most violent crimes in the U.S. are, in fact, actually committed by white people. Your perception of reality has been whitewashed. Through their monopoly over the information and media images that are fed into our society, the white ruling class has misled millions to believe that most inventions that revolutionized the world were invented by Caucasian, and to perceive black people as being the leeches of society that haven't invented much throughout history. Many people function based upon their perceptions created by those false narratives. But the hidden reality is that in spite of cultural traumas wrought by slavery and the continued injustices of white racism, most inventions that revolutionized the world were in fact either invented by black people or were directly inspired by early inventions by black people. Without black people, there would exist no motors, no automobiles, no airplanes, no helicopters. Without black people, we would not have skyscrapers. We only have skyscrapers because black people invented the elevator, the fire extinguisher, the fire escape ladder, air conditioning, and central heating, which are all essential in order for people to live or work in skyscrapers. Without black people, there would be no internet. There would exist no cell phones. We wouldn't have cameras nor microphones on our cell phones. We wouldn't have the accurate weather forecasting system. We wouldn't have the cataract laser removal scope. There would be no emails, no GPS, no hearing aids, no touch tone phones, no caller ID, no home surveillance security system, no home game cartridges. There'd be no steam engines, no traffic lights. Without black people, there would exist no refrigerators, no refrigerated trucks, therefore no ice cream trucks, no blood banks, no dry cleaning, no lawnmowers, no doorknobs, no 3D movies, no pencil sharpeners, etc., etc. Through the white society's monopoly over information that are fed into our society, They've created a false depiction of black people. They've marginalized our existence. The hidden reality is that black people have in fact enriched nearly every aspect of the lives of every person on this planet through our many inventions. Your perception is a white deception. Through the white society's monopoly over information and media images that are fed into our society, they've concealed these noted facts from the general public. You see, all you have to do is keep repeatedly feeding lies through media ads, falsely scripted movies, miseducation, and before long, you can manipulate the masses to perceive reality, the falsehood of reality. Those lies will become the truths that the public believes and function based upon. This is precisely what has been done by the white society. The white society sits upon a throne of white exalting and black marginalizing lies. Therefore, as a means of maintaining white social dominance and white social capital over the black population, they've spread out a negative propaganda about black people. Don't be fooled. If the oppressors were truly superior, they wouldn't have to distort so many facts to convey it, nor would they have to work so hard to handicap a people who they claim are inferior. Your entire perception is a white deception. If we were truly inferior, they wouldn't have to work so hard unrelentingly behind the scene to convey that illusion. They attack us because we are the greatest threat against the system of white supremacy, because it is the great minds of black people that moves the world forward. I know when lies have been sold to the masses over generations, a speaker of truth will sound like a raving lunatic. But the truth is still the truth, regardless if you've been brainwashed to believe the lies. It is time to wake up to our reality. One love and peace.